Hello and welcome back to another video. Today we will be going over an app, essentially a shopping list, an interactive shopping list that is a React app which utilizes the Immer library. Immer and React are used a lot in tandem, but uh, Immer is its own library, not connected to React. I've created this README file and spiffied it up a bit for visual uh, to go over before we actually look at the components of the app. Immer uses a draft state to track changes and handle oh my goodness, the immutability. There we there we go. Excuse me. Uh, it uses a draft state to handle the immutability and uh, track changes as opposed to spread syntax. Uh, you'll see with the three periods followed by what you would use with the spread syntax. Um, we'll go into that a little bit more, but the draft state is a key component of the Immer library in order to get the most out of it. Um, this goes over installation. Shopping list with Immer is the React component, the core component, which contains the core mechanisms. You'll want to add, update, remove items uh, as you would in any shopping list. And let's see here. Um, that was a third-party library, independent, which is cool. Now, what's interesting is in the past they used something else, which I didn't use myself, but CRA or Create React App, which became slow. So now Vite is mainly Vite. There's another one I can't think of, which includes app main.js and index.html all wired together. Um, yeah, about this, just in general, developing with React, a note from me as a student, it feels different than creating an app using, the standard HTML structure, or like a website, I guess, a web app kind of thing. Because with a standard development like that, you can really start with a blank page and make some pretty good progress. And um, I don't know, it feels kind of like a little bit more whiteboarding, and I guess that feels just right. Whereas with React, you have hundreds of lines of code and configuration pre-built in, um, so you really are relying on templates and build tools to some extent as far as that goes. Um, what else do I want to talk about? Uh, I mean, the main purpose of this is all just to kind of showcase Immer in a realistic way. So we went over that. Let's look at shopping list with Immer. We're importing the use Immer. It's not just Immer, and then use state from React, using them both. So you have the export default here, which you'll need in order to import it into the main.jsx. And then you have the list items that um, just by default are here to give it. Uh, we could have started with a blank list, but this is, once you see the actual application, you'll understand why we're starting with different items. Each item has its own ID, um, which includes the name, quantity, and details, um, with even a note section as well. So it's a very usable app if you wanted to have a little lightweight local thing for yourself. It's potentially port worthy or portfolio worthy, excuse me. Um, the const new item name, set new item name, use state, you're using uh, the use state for that, um, as well as there's one for the quantity and the name. So one is to track, the field for the name of the item, and one is the quantity of that item. Hand this is pertinent or relating to this here specifically. Function handle quantity change uh, is a function that updates the quantity using Immers uh, library. So um, update items. Uh, the draft here, there's not the three dot spread syntax. Um, this is a lot cleaner because you would have to add it in a lot of other places throughout the code. But by just saying draft, you're just saying, hey, clone it, and then you also have the benefit of it keeping track of the items and the user interaction within the state, which is really beneficial. And uh, the Immer library comes built in with that, so it prevents the developer from having to use a lot of additional spread syntax. This is going to be a little bit of a longer video, uh, but not too long. Anyway, so we looked a little bit at this function um, and the draft part of that. Now let's talk about this. Um, we just said that. Inside the callback, we find the item with the specified ID and update its quantity directly. And as I said, Immer will produce a new state based on the changes, the Immer draft, if you will. And this allows us to write mutable code while maintaining immutability. So um, that's kind of the thing you have to do in React to make it responsive. Otherwise, why are you using React at all? What are you even trying to do? Um, and as I said, the alternative method would be the spread operator, and you're more likely to make a mistake doing that as well. Uh, Here we have add item. So function add item. Um, we're using the parameter e, um, and this prevents uh, the um, form from reloading upon submission, which is very important. Otherwise, this wouldn't make any sense. Uh, this is a little bit of error handling, the prevention of adding empty items to the list. Um, we'll do we'll test this as part of one of our test cases later, and update items. Again, you see the use of the Immer library here. The ID date now generates the unique ID. There may be other ways to do this, but for this assignment, this seemed to be okay. Name, new item name, quantity, new item quantity. Set new item name and set item quantity. Here you're using the state and resetting the field. By minimum, you have 1. You're not adding something 0 to a list. You wouldn't add, I need 0, apples on your shopping list. That doesn't make sense. Uh, I don't know if there's a way to do that. We'll check and see if we can't even add 0. What would happen? It might automatically populate it to 1. It'd be interesting. Uh, Update item allows you to modify the nested properties that normally would be immutable using the Immer library. So again, you have the function update items, ID, new notes, um, uh, the you're using the spread syntax and the React logic in order to call a function. Update items, which will utilize the React library um, to update, will cause the function to creates a function that finds the item in an item ID and connects that and allows you then to update the notes um, if it finds it, if it connects it, if it's able to connect it, the item that was created. Otherwise, um, it wouldn't allow you to do that because it wouldn't detect an item. Remove item. Um, the function and the logic behind that, it checks for the ID and then it uses the syntax to update items, and the Immer library and the React functionality that allows you to call a function within it much more effectively using this sort of equal sign, the symbols here. Um, now you have an index. It's trying to index and using the Immer library's logic to keep track of it all to find the index for the item and the item ID and verify that it's there, and then it works. And then once it connects the item and the update, if the item is not less than 1, uh, you can update the index um, or remove it, excuse me, splice. Um, that may have not been as good a explanation, but we're working on it. You have to return it, and the items map is used to iterate over the items and render a list item for each shopping item. So each list item displays the name of the item in input field, and it's necessary to allow users to see the current items in their shopping list. You have to map it. Um, Here you just have some styling. Uh, we didn't get too crazy with it. Um, but because it's React, you're kind of adding it all into one place, which it takes some getting used to, honestly. Anyhow, I already ran the npm run dev and other commands that we didn't go over too much. It's in the README. So now let's take a look at how the actual website looks. Okay. And yes, the cat has been there the whole time. Here you have shopping with Immer. I know that it's cool. It's supposed to look like that. Now that you you see why we have some items already built in, it just makes it clear that it's a shopping list and how it works. It's always nice to have some examples. The form itself even has a clear indicator where you're supposed to type in here. This is the what we looked at that allows you to update the text using the state in React, and this is the quantity, and they're both connected and will create an ID upon execution of the add item. Now, if you add 0 of something, it literally, yeah, interestingly enough, the actual field will not let me type 0, no matter how hard I'm trying, but I can't put 0. It's physically stuck at 1, which is pretty cool. Um, so that's how it handles that error by allowing it to come up in the first place. What if we just try to just add a blank item? You can't, and you don't get a little pop-up because honestly, it's not necessary. Maybe we can bypass that by trying to add 2 items. No. What if we just put a blank? What if we just put a blank space? No, it won't allow that. You actually need text. So those are some edge cases there just to get that out of the way. What if we try to set the quantity of that to 0? What happens then? And then you add an item test. This is a crazy edge case. So it won't really do anything. It will obviously 0, which is interesting, but not necessarily a bug. Some major test cases that we kind of just did: add item, quantity works, it works, the entire thing populates. So there's got to be 3 of each there. But yeah, we're using Immer in the Immer draft in order to manage the immutability quote unquote issue that comes with dealing with objects in React, and by taking time to around the immutability quote unquote issue using the library, it allows an extremely friendly user experience, um, which is very fast, and that is great for the user, like hitting the like button and seeing it go up one number. It doesn't all need to happen on the back end. Uh, for this particular app, it's not connected to a back end, for example. Um, the data isn't. Uh, the Immer draft could be, but if I hit refresh, the list goes back, as you can see. So if this was, like an actual app or something that was like in production, we would never let that happen. Um, so yeah, this has been using the Immer library. Thanks for watching.